Welcome back to the Duel podcast. It's your host Alicia Solomon and myself Megan Hines. Where every week we talk about the challenge, and we're back again talking about Challenge Rider Dies. We're on episode 10 called Dancing on My Own, and we have our team set per last episode, and we get our first challenge and our first elimination, and we're gonna get into all of that.
Yes, please.
So we start off the episode with Mariah feeling that her team has a lot of good qualities despite how stacked Fessy's team is. And Amber playfully kicked Chauncey out of her room because now he's an enemy. And that was a really funny moment. And Fessy said he picked his team um, because he knew they would dominate in team challenges. And he makes fun of how Jordan and Devin have, I don't know, a weird issue that they might be butting heads in challenges. Like, I want to do this way, I want to do this way. And he thinks that that'll mess up their team's chemistry. But then Jordan also did say that he doesn't think that he can trust Devin because Devin is a realer and dealer.
I guess. I mean, these two is just like two peas in a pod. Like dealing, hearing, like seeing how they were dealing with each other this episode, and like how it just comes to fruition later on. Like these two are just like a weird duo, I would say.
Yeah. Devin just took a lot of stuff from his mentor Les and just expanded on it. That's really what it
Yeah,
is.
he's been influenced.
Yeah. And Fessy had a team meeting, and he was like, "I hope y'all are happy with how the team is like kind of be played out." And Casey said that their energy was up here, meanwhile the other team's energy was down here. And then they switched over to Mariah's team meeting, and their energy was a little bit low, but they were just trying to fill each other out. And some people were optimistic about it, other people not as much.
I mean, the two teams are just different in like size and like personalities on the team. And Fessy trying to control or have some type of say so in how his team is ran. And then you see the contrast with Mariah, and everyone's chill and calm, but they're trying to figure out like how is this gonna work because they know who's on the other side. It's just a very interesting dynamic to see the contrast between Fessy and Mariah and how the teams have been played out. Because I just think that one team is better than the other. However, like logistically and how, you know, they play like politically, it's just two different teams, like completely.
Yeah, and I think because even though Fessy thinks of himself as the captain, he's not going to be the leader of the team because we have other personalities on the team that will outvoice him. Like he literally sat there during interrogation later on the episode. They didn't really say as much, but we had Johnny speak up the most. And then he got his ass handed to him in a challenge, which we'll get to. Um, but yeah, Devin was like, "New team, new me." But he said he didn't love your odds, but he's able to see, read room, and adapt to how they function. Nani was optimistic about their chances because they all balanced each other out, and also hoped that whatever Jordan and Reese had going on would not affect how the team worked. And I'm like, I don't think that's going to happen because it's not that serious.
No, it's really not. It's the only dynamic that they need to be worried about is how his ex is taking it, which we see how that plays out in this episode too.
Yeah. And Devin and Jordan have a talk around a campfire, and Devin said he had no reason to really go after Jordan, and he wanted to be able to keep Jordan and Nisa out of the zone. And he also said that he wants Jordan to give Tori some slack and that she's trying. We'll see. Um, and then Casey said it's hard for her having Kenny and Nani on the other side. And we got a more Kenny time this episode. This is his first confessional episode where he said that he's ready to show himself, prove why he's there in a sense, and just be his own person, not just be Kate's brother.
We know what that means when we see more of somebody on an episode, especially in the beginning, and especially someone that we have not seen who's given us absolutely nothing. Just we know why we're seeing him.
Yeah, and it's not looking great. The odds were stacked up against him from the jump. And we get into our daily challenge, but we get a promotion for that is sponsoring this challenge, I guess. It is for the new Puss in Boots movie called Puss in Boots The Last Witch? Not Witch. It's I forgot I didn't write it right, but I think it is Witch. Um and they did like a 3-minute promo for it. They had to pull Antonio Banderas from wherever he was to talk about the movie. How Puss from the Shrek universe has his own movie, and he's going on a quest to find his other lives because he has one life left. Because cats only have 9 lives, and he used all the other ones. He wants to get those back. And that's the gist of this episode, this challenge, where it is called Last Life, where in 2 heats the players will battle on a beam up in the air over water, one on one against one another, where they have to keep the balance and preserve their lives and push the opposition off the beam. And as team members drop, the team loses lives, and a team that has the most lives at the end of it, they will win this challenge and also get invited to the Puss in Boots premiere.
I mean, they didn't pull Antonio Banderas from anywhere. Like he was doing like press run. You can tell by like his background that he was sitting down doing interviews, and they just had him do like, a little spot for this. But also, they keep getting these sponsorships that are like just so odd in the middle of them. They keep doing it like every season. Like one season it's a like a sports drink company. The next season it's Burger King. The next season it's just Puss in Boots. The last season it was Top Gun. Like it's just random ass shit that they keep like whoever's throwing the bread, they getting it. Like they just like, all right, 3 minutes for you, right on cue. And I guess.
It was funny because like last season when they did that Top Gun challenge, the movie didn't come out until the summer. That's what got me. Like that happened back in like May or April. That time, the movie didn't come out until July. The timeline did not make any sense because we didn't see promos for that movie like that until the end of May into June. It didn't make sense to me because like y'all did this
Yeah,
for
they
this
I
long ago.
whoever is paying, clearly MTV is like, or the production company is like, whoever's paying, they're gonna get their slot in. That's it.
Yeah. So this challenge had valid one-on-one situations. On the first up, we had Nelly T versus Devin, and Nelson said he wanted to set the tone as a captain for his team, and I was like, "You're a captain? Who made you a captain?"
I forgot who said this, but too many Chiefs, not enough Indians. There's too many people running around thinking they run shit. Like, uh, come on. Y'all all are not the leaders. Y'all all are not the main characters. Y'all all not number one. Cut it out. Cut
Yeah.
it out.
So it wasn't that bad of a duel between both of them, but Nelson ended up getting the upper hand against Devin and won that first round. And then we went to Horacio and Bananas, and it was a good little back and forth. Horacio had Bananas on his toes because at one point, like if Bananas would push him back into his area, Horacio would not let down and push back towards him. And after a point, Bananas took a dive. Like Horacio pushed him, and the way that Bananas even fell into the water was hilarious because the way that he was basically folded over when he dived into the water. And I was laughing. I was like, look at this man just folded.
Yeah, the two of them just, I feel like everyone was like not surprised, but they were prepared for it, I should say, with how Horacio has been showing himself. And we've seen what Bananas has been giving us lately, which is absolutely nothing. So it's really no surprise.
Yeah. And then we went to Chauncey and Jordan. And Jordan said that before they started, like, I'm the daddy up here because he does this. But he's going against the guy who's taller and bigger than him. And
First of all, I'm uncomfortable. I'm uncomfy. Like, why would he even give himself that moniker? Like, who the hell says that? Like, bro, why is this man back on my TV? Just MTV. Why?
but
Why?
wait, sidebar real quick. He's back on our TV, but he's also be back on Netflix in like the next couple of weeks. And the way, because of Real World Portland, the way that people are gonna come at him years
Yeah,
later because of
yeah.
this,
That's
I'm be sick of my
I'm
teeth.
excited to see people rewatching or like getting a chance to like digest it for the first time because it's always a different perspective, and especially now where we live in such a PC culture where everything is either getting canceled in 2 seconds and everyone has an opinion and it's just all of this chatter all the time online. I am interested to see what comes of this, especially after we've seen the redemption story and we've seen Naya and Jordan recently in the All Star season. Like, y'all have to do y'all history. Y'all got to do y'all homework, and homework is coming up. It's coming up.
Watch Naya get back on IG Live trying to uh, cape for him again. But I digress. Chauncey had Jordan twirling up on that beam like a little ballerina, cause like Chauncey would push him and Jordan would get off his balance, but he managed to get back up at times. But the way that he twirled on that beam, I had to laugh because I'm like, this man is not stopping from himself not getting off this beam. And I was like, oh, Jordan might have a chance because he kept getting back up. But Chauncey just pushed him eventually, and Pink Team got another point. And then we go to the last, the second to last duel for this first heat. We got Fessel and Casey's brother Kenny. And this was not a David and Goliath situation because there was no sing shot, and there was no chance that Kenny will beat Fessy.
In the words of Jocelyn Hernandez, why is you here, ho? Like, why is you even here? I don't understand, bro. Like, you just taking up space and opportunity. Like, what are you doing here? Like, that's every time I saw him this episode, I'm just like, who is this?
I don't know. And this episode was the first time we ever heard of him having a wife and shit kids. Like,
Like, talk about like nameless people. Like, we went from nameless to like more nameless. I'm like, who is these people? Like, they look like a stock photo family. I'm like, what is going on here? Like, I didn't remember you were here, much less you got a whole family at home. Oh my
yeah.
gosh.
And it was funny too because right before they started, Casey was like, "Don't hurt my brother." That man is small. Bessie could just throw that man down. He ain't gonna hurt him. But after one love tap, essentially, Kenny went flying, and so everybody was down except for the yellow team, except for Horacio, which led to the last matchup between Fessel and Horacio, and that was a nice head-to-head battle, but Fessel had the upper hand because I think he also had a dirty move with the way he had his hand a little bit on Horacio's neck, gave him the edge a little bit, and Horacio fell. So the pink team got the win for that first heat. It did go to the girls. And the way that um, the weight classes were for this heat with astonishing. We had Nerese going against freaking Anissa. And then Nani going against Olivia.
Yeah, we
It
could
don't make
skip past Nerissa and Anissa because that's not even it's not even fair at no shape or turn. Like that's just like all right, whatever. Olivia and Nani. Now, Nani has shown to be like a little bit feisty, even though she absolutely can bring nothing at times too. Like she's gonna scrap a little bit. She's gonna give you a little something, something. But Olivia is just bigger than Nani. She has a little bit more weight on her than Nani. So it's not surprising how she was able to maneuver on that beam and get Nani on to the into the water. But it was just the way that Nani fell into the water and the aftermath of her being in shock. I don't think I was ever clear on what exactly happened to this girl. Like she fell in the water, she fell wrong, obviously,
the shoe fell
and
off.
she, her shoes fell off.
The one of the shoes flew off her foot as she fell off the beam.
Oh,
It
well,
flew.
another person now Olivia goes against that has her shoes coming off. I don't know what it is with Olivia and the production's not even tying people's shoes on the other side, but it is what it is. Anyway, the girl flew off and she's shaking and shivering and she looks like she has a case of CTE. Like she just looks like she's down bad. And I'm just like, bro, like, is she okay? Like, is she coming back? Like, it was. I mean, I know for all the shit we talk about Casey and how her and Nani and Kenny have this whole dynamic there, but it probably was very scary for Casey to watch her go through that and not be able to do anything and be there for her, even though she's right there, like close to her. But that definitely was scary to see how Nani fell and how everything kind of happened.
Yeah. Luckily, she did and then come back to the house and she was better. Um, but next we went to Amber and Tori, and Chauncey playfully was talking to Nelson like, our dads ain't going farewell, and Amber was like, don't forget where you sleep, and Amber got pulled off the beam by Tori, and that was the end of that.
Yeah, nothing more, nothing less. So I mean, I don't know, Amber. I just want her to succeed. I I'm rooting for Amber.
Yeah. I do want to point out, even though we're going to gloss over the rest of Anissa and Nerese, um, Nelson told Anissa to break Nerese in half, and it was funny when she looked back at him and gave him the bird because she was like, "What, sir? Be serious." Um, I just thought that was funny, but this was a quick, easy sweep. Nerese was down, so yeah.
Yeah, she couldn't. She doesn't stand a chance. Moving on.
And with that, that was the last group to go. Oh, not the last group. That was the last group, but I glossed over Mariah and Casey.
Oh
um,
yeah, sorry. That was the first group to go actually, and
yeah.
I completely forgot to.
But the one thing that stood out from that was that Betsy said that Casey was his real ride or die, and I'm just like, if she was your real ride or die, why didn't you put her as a name to be your partner, and we wouldn't have this whole situation going on because you look like shit.
It's Fessy, number one, and number two, I don't know who casted these people. You also have to think that there's also other things that go behind the scenes. It's not just them coming on the show and choosing who they want. So that's also another issue. Whoever casted them, they casted poorly this season because it wasn't just
Yeah,
them.
yeah, because I know they gave him a list of people who they wanted to be the partners, and I'm like, sir, you could have just put her on the list, but I think they wanted Kate to bring somebody, and just had to bring um the futon to her sectional. So yeah. With that, the pink team ended up winning because Casey also knocked Mariah off, and now the team has to interrogate all four of the guys on the yellow team, and they will decide which of them will go into the zone, and then the rest of the three will pull the dagger to see who goes in. And at this point, after the challenge, Casey felt helpless about Nani. We got another confessional from Kenny as well, um, about talking about that, and also just talking about being in relation to Casey and wanting to make a name for himself. And then we go to interrogation, where they said that keeping Kenny was the best move for them as a team because he is the weakest person, and they wanted to go for a stronger player on the yellow team, and that meant it was either going to be Jordan, Devin, or Horacio. But some people were like, so and so's off limits, so and so's off limits because Tori said she wasn't going to say Devin's name. Um, and it wasn't shown, but Olivia, like, I mean, I don't think it wasn't shown in interrogation at least, but Olivia was obviously not going to say Horacio's name. Um, and they interrogated all four guys, starting with Kenny. He joked that obviously I'm the strongest, and he said that he wanted to go against Horacio because they're both Rickies, and yeah, he said it sounded good in his head that he wanted to go against Horacio, and he wanted to take matters into his own hands.
He didn't have nothing to say. Like he was just saying anything. He was just glad to be in the room where the single camera was on him. Because in what world does it make sense for you to go against Horacio? Like against anybody, to be honest. Like he didn't really stand. I commend his confidence in himself, but like, come on, bro. Like, who are you going against that you were gonna beat on that team?
Nobody.
Okay.
And then we go to Horacio, and he said that he thinks he's the strongest. He obviously is throwing a bone, saying that they should go after Devin or Jordan. But he said he's also not scared to go in. And he's just like, I'm. He's like, I'm just always ready, so it don't matter. And Devin, when he got into interrogation, they called him a loser. Um, that was funny because he got to taste his own medicine. Because we always know whenever Dev is in power, he loves to call people losers.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's his. I mean, I don't want to call him a loser in real life, but just if the shoe fits.
um, but he said that they're past the point of not rocking the boat, and he was trying to pull his best Neo and um not actually answering their questions. He was deflecting and asking questions of them. And at one point, Nelson was like, "Wait, aren't we the ones that's supposed to be asking questions, not you?" And Devin just was not trying to give him anything. Like even when they asked, Tori asked him about either calling out Kenny or Jordan. He was like, "I'm a team player." He was not trying to give him anything to go off of.
Well, that's just Devin's strategy in general because we saw this whole season he's been running around cutting side deals with other people, but not letting people know his moves. So it's not beyond him to just absolutely do it and give nothing. And I feel like a lot of people this season had like intentions going into interrogations or deliberations and be like, I don't want to say anything. I don't want to, tell people our moves. And then like 2 seconds later, they're telling everything. Whereas Devin knows how to keep his mouth shut and knows how to play the room and the people in the room.
Yeah. I just thought it was funny. Like he was just, let me. I'm just gonna call it. I'm actually ask y'all questions, and y'all can just look weird. And we got to Jordan. They were mute. They didn't say nothing to this man, barely, until he started talking. And Tori had the audacity to ask him if he would have her back if the roles were reversed.
This is where we start leading into more of why is this even a thing on this show. This episode, it started from last episode, and it seems like it's continued on, and it kept going in this episode with the Tori and Jordan storyline. It's just very tired and old already, and it's literally been like 2 to 3 episodes of consistently seeing this storyline being pushed. I just, what was the point of the question? Like, what does that have to do with anything? Were you gonna save him? You are outnumbered anyway. So even if you voted for him, you would need other people to also not vote for, like, vote against him. So it's just like you don't even have the numbers on your own team. Half of those people on your team want to get rid of him. So it, like, none of it made any sense. And then also, if he said no or if he said yes, it's just like, what does that mean for you? I don't understand. She just gets on my nerves.
It's the fact that he don't want no parts of this either. He just like, what's the point? What's the point of this question? Like, that's it. Um, and after that, Nani made her arrival back to the house, and she was okay. Um, thank thankfully she was totally fine. She tried to have this get checked out, but she's good. And at the bar, Mariah, Amber, and Horacio were talking, chilling. Um, and Horacio was like, I don't really want to like play a dirty game, and I just want to be honest. But he did say that he knew that Devin and Jordan would save each other if it came down to it. If them three were in the the dagger drop. So yeah. And then Fessy and Tori had a chat as well. And Tori was trying to make a plan that to not try and take out the stronger guys on the other team, because if they do that, then the guys on the other team would then throw a shot at them on a girls' day and try and get rid of one of the stronger girls. And it's like, ma'am, I get you're paranoid because it affects you, but how does it? What does it do for the guys? Because it's gonna be a it's gonna be a back and forth either way. So what's the point?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how they affect her game in the long run. Like, she really just wanted to say that so she doesn't have them go and pick Jordan. Like, just say that. Jordan or Devin, honestly, because those are the two names that were thrown out as the strongest, which are the strongest on that team. So I just think that her trying to save herself, but also put in that moniker like, oh, we also have to not do this so that we can keep them safe. It's just like, girl, just say you want to save that man and keep him moving.
Yeah. And then Nelson said that the team was BSing on the vote because they all knew what they were gonna do. They just hadn't like had like a full group meeting and say this is what we're doing. Like people were left out of the conversation. Um, and then Tori presented Jordan a deal, and he saw through it because he knew the guys wanted either him or Horacio. That was it. Which we know it because like they're not gonna go after really Devin like that because Devin is not a physical threat. They're gonna want to throw in Jordan Horacio. We all knew that because Devin was just throwaway. Like you're not gonna throw in Devin, but Jordan has the one has the most experience on that team, and then y'all are throwing in Horacio because he has the most experience in his own this season. So that's it.
Yeah, I think that's the sides of the two sides of the coin with choosing Jordan and Horacio for that team. And honestly, it's not wrong. Like those are the two strongest people that would be the ones that they would have to look out for in the long run.
Yeah. And Nancy, ooh, not I combine Nani,
Nancy,
KCC.
she went British. It's Nancy.
But Nani, Casey, and Kenny were talking just about this everything going on, and we got another confessional from Kenny. This is the fourth confessional in this episode.
It's just like the more confessionals, the more that you're doomed. I am that's just the stats. I don't make it up. I don't make the rules. That's just what it is.
He was like, anybody can win. I was like, sure, you can keep on believing that. But in this case, with the way that the guys are in this house, you are the weakest link. You can't win against them. I'm so sorry. I like your confidence, but you are not gonna win against them. You're not.
Yeah, he really did. He really did try to put on a brave face though for his wife and his kids. Like I'm sure he probably wanted to just let them, like know that they had somebody who wasn't going to give up. But honestly, we forgot you were there for about 8 episodes, and then like now you're here telling us this. Like okay,
And then we go to the zone, and Nelson brings up the fact that nobody talked to him trying to see Olivia. Chauncey didn't know where the vote was gonna go. Um, so they started doing a vote for who they'll pick to go into the zone. And it started off with Fessy, and he voted for Horacio. And then down the line, everybody else just voted for Horacio. Um, but the sole vote for Kenny was Olivia because she was not going to say his name. And that's a ride or die.
yeah. I mean, at that point, she was the last person to pick somebody, and like you said, Nelson expressed that they had no idea what they were doing. Like at the minute that TJ called Fessy's name and said, Festo, what are you gonna like? What are you picking? He looked around and was like, so what's the plan, guys? Like you're gonna wait to the last minute to ask what the plan is and try to figure it out when you had all of this time to deliberate. You had all of this time going through the interrogations. Like, come on now. But honestly, Olivia has to realize there is groups within a group, and yes, people are going to make decisions behind your back. Like that's just what's going to happen. And everyone down the line went Horacio. She picked Kenny, and as she should. I mean, as much as shit as I can see her getting because she can be too much. I really appreciate her, sticking with not picking Horacio because there was no need to at that point.
Yeah. And so we go to the dagger draw. And Devin got first pick, and he immediately gets the safe dagger, which means that he is safe. And he decides that he would like to save Jordan. And that means that we get Kenny versus Horacio in this week's elimination.
That means Kenny gets his wish because that's who he asked for. He wanted to go against the rookie, so
Yep, and this week this elimination is called Breaking Barriers. And the first player to get to the middle of this long hallway and hit the button will win. That's the gist of it. As they get through the barriers, with different things they have to do. Either grab three different kinds of tools to get through, and then get to the button and hit it, and they'll be still in the game. But it's very interesting because at this point, like we knew that somebody was gonna go home, but we get a twist later on. And so we do notice what we do know now that Horacio has had construction experience, and this elimination was right up his alley with demolition, and he was getting through this very quickly.
Yeah, he was prepared because sometimes people come into this challenge not prepared on what to do and like having to think quick on their feet. But because he knew all of the supplies and appliances that were used for this challenge and really just seeing how things go, it was really a breeze for him. And he's been showing out in every single elimination that he does. So it's no surprise that he got out to have such a great start and to be in just trying to keep up, like trying to set the pace and make sure that Kenny is trying to beat him and not the other way around.
Yeah. Because at one point Kenny got stuck on a second barrier with that was the locks.
Right.
He got the pliers and he was still struggling to get the locks out after he clipped them, and that took him a little bit second to get that together, but he finally got it. And then as he got that done, Horacio was already on the nuts and bolts section. Um, and it wasn't neck to neck because Horacio was taking his time a little bit and trying to figure it out because they looked very hard to get off, but he managed to get the last one off and got the fourth barrier broken, and he is the winner of this elimination. He is now 4-0.
Yeah, super impressive um, win for Horacio and just in general this season and how he's been playing and being put into elimination and always finds a way to come back and how he does it and then how he's performing daily challenges as well. Like he's really impressive this season.
Yeah, he's just one to just put his head down and just do the work. Doesn't really say much. Um, that was Turbo in his first season. Then he got too big headed, and we saw how that happened. Because I totally forgot Turbo was here until I realized it. As they've been doing reunion, but he's not even there. Um, and since Horacio won, he's back in the group. And right when Kenny's about to leave, Casey had to come downstairs and tearfully she gave him a hug before he left. And then everybody left the zone, but TJ was still standing there. And we see Kenny come back out, and TJ says that essentially if Casey doesn't get eliminated, he has a chance to come back in the game at some point because it's still Ratty dies. So he ain't gone until Casey gets eliminated.
Yeah, which is also another interesting twist. I feel like this is like the second one that we've had, the past week. But I mean, there's more and more twists that happened this season, how, everything happened with elimination or whatever. But I don't know how to feel about this because I'm pretty sure at the end of it, when the ride or die comes back in the house, they're gonna have to do the final together and they'll run the final with their ride or die. But Fessy has shit in where he's 8, and he literally has turned on his partner Mariah and has said like she's really not my ride or die, it's Casey. So I'm interested to see if he gets eliminated or she gets eliminated, how that's gonna feel because they're probably gonna have to work together at some point if either party can stay in the game long enough to get to that final. So
Yeah.
I just want to see how they integrate them back into the house, into the ride or dies, and when will they bring it out?
Yeah, he's just be chilling, chilling out there at in the hotel or something, just doing whatever. Like I just like they. I mean, I wish they could have done a redemption house at least. Like they or just like if the ride guy is gone, you gone too. Like I don't know, but because
Yeah,
that's what just kind of threw me off with the team thing. I'm like, okay, so if someone loses the nation, what happens? And this twist now, it throws a wrench in it. So I'm like, okay, so how long until y'all decide to bring them back in the game? Like, is he gonna come back next
right.
episode? Like, or are y'all still gonna wait however long until she gets eliminated? Like, it doesn't make sense to me still on how they
Mhm.
want this to play out because
Yeah.
y'all could just send them home. Y'all could just send both of them home. Like, I don't know, because it
Yeah.
defeats the purpose of the game. Because what is he supposed to be doing while they're still playing the game? Like, it to
I
me
don't
it
know.
doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I feel like that needs a little bit more clarification next week because they just sprung it on us and then like it kind of was just like it is what it is.
Yeah,
And then especially with how we don't know, like I said, how and like you're saying, how they coming back into the house, how does this affect the game in the long run? Like it definitely needs more clarity on it.
yeah. So with that, that is the end of the actual episode. We're gonna get into the tweets from the week. Um, because there, like as always, there are also some funny tweets that get me laughing. So the first tweet is: are we really wasting 5 minutes on Puss in Boots promos? Because
Yes, because they cut the check.
I'm like, what child is watching this? This is a children's
Well,
movie.
Puss in Puss in Boots is promoted as a children's movie, but honestly, Puss in Boots comes from the Shrek franchise, which is so old now. It's like at least 20 years. So
Yeah,
I feel like it's a little bit more. It's mature, and especially a lot of the jokes, like a lot of the children's movies and shows, like the jokes be a little too advanced. Like if you're an adult watching it, like you be catching some, you be like, yo, the kid's not even gonna understand it. Like that goes over their head. But you as an adult, you looking at the show like this joke is a little mature.
yeah. It's just like, of all things, I get this movie's coming out, y'all, and I get adults are consumers and they'll buy movies, but this is not going to be a hit in the box office. I'm sorry.
Damn.
Like, let's be real. I get we love Shrek. Like, I was a Shrek person. I love the movies. Puss in Boots is one of my favorite characters back then. Because Jordan said he was one of his favorite characters because he was agile and whatever. I get it. However, in 2022, are adults really about to
Well,
go to the movies and watch
2023, is
this?
it coming out this year?
It's, I think, next year. It's
Yeah,
next year.
so
But still,
2023.
the point stands.
New
Who's
year, new
going there?
movie. Come on now. Come on.
The
Shout
point
out to Antonio
stands.
Banderas.
The point still stands. Who is going to see Puss in Boots as a whole grown adult in 2023?
You don't know. They could have marketed to somebody. Probably one person will go. I'm not saying it's going to be me, but somebody's out there will will go and see that movie and support Puss in Boots.
Well, okay, and it won't be me. So, moving on to the next tweet. Um, Fessy ain't shit. How are you gonna talk that much trash about the girl that was defending you this whole season? And Casey isn't even all that. Mic
Well,
drop.
like again, that's true. Like Becky said, he's been crapping on Mariah since they've broken up in their so-called relationship, even though that's what he thinks. And I just can't wait to see like that dynamic of him coming back. And then like Mariah figuring out watching it at home and figuring out how he ain't shit. It's just impressive.
I think she's already done so because she unfollowed him on Instagram because they are since they are filming the reunion right now, and whatever happened there, but made also my also pissed her off again, and she unfollowed him. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
the last
interesting.
yeah because but it is funny too because I want to tell you this offline, but I'm telling you this now. There's a situation happened on Twitter where some of the girls, the Rickies, were in spaces and they hashed things out, quote unquote. But folk was getting on them, like seeing them at the reunion, like backstage, hanging out. I'm like, y'all the ones that did this. Y'all had them hashings out, and y'all are messing up our reunion. Please stop, because
Okay.
It's just a lot. It was a lot extra stuff happening as well. I'll tell you afterwards. But that was
Okay.
just funny because it just explains how things are going on real time. Last tweet is they let Kenny talk for more than 10 seconds for the first time, and his dumbass said, "Don't be into elimination. I want to face Horacio."
Yeah, you get what you ask for. Honestly, with Kenny, it's no, there's nothing else to say about him.
You know, beautiful gowns. That's all.
Yeah,
But um, yeah,
gorgeous
that's
gowns.
so that is the all the tweets. Um, I enjoy looking through the hashtag because they be cracking me up. So thank y'all for making me laugh and letting us laugh with y'all as well.
Yeah, definitely enjoy. It makes the viewing experience a little bit better, and it's great. So we all can laugh at these people together. um, we have another twist now, so we'll see how this plays out in the next couple of weeks and what ends up happening in the end. But I mean, we got rid of the furniture, but it's on layaway, so it's coming right back.
Yeah,
But nonetheless, you can follow our Twitter page at The Lions Pod. You can follow Megan at Megs and Hines. You can follow myself at Ace_S5. You can follow our YouTube page at The Lions Pod. And we will be back next week to discuss more Ride or Dies, season 38. Thank you guys for listening and have a good weekend or week or whenever you're listening to this.
yeah. Bye.